roughly around 25%. You are kind of more likely to be having diabetes if you are born in India or a South Asian country.
Okay.
And when somebody says, "Oh, you should never compare," I think you should always compare, but you should compare it to yourself. You should always compete with yourself. You should never compete with someone else, because we all are wired, and that's a different discussion. Now, there is enough evidence now to see that just after that change in clock, so when people have 1 hour less sleep and 1 hour more sleep, the increase in heart attack, the increase in road accidents, the increase in stroke increases almost 16% the very next day or the very next week. So that's what the importance of sleep, just an extra 1 hour of sleep.
So great morning, audience. I think over the last few weeks, you might have seen some of the videos, which are those of my conversations with mostly people coming from the field of corporate. And of course, we had a couple of personalities from the field of music. We also had somebody from business, but at a time when people have been talking a lot about health. So over the last 3 to 4 years, people have started talking more about health than they used to speak of in earlier times. It's all about a world which is mostly reactive. And that's the reason I thought of talking to somebody who always has been talking about proactive health management. We are going to talk to Dr. Rupesh Jha. I recall having gone to Coventry in the year 2017. And the moment I landed at the airport at Birmingham, I sent a message to Dr. Jha, can we meet? And he immediately sent, yes, why not? Let's try and meet. But somehow, for some reason, both of us were busy, and of course, it was very short notice. I landed, and then I sent a message to him, we couldn't meet. But thanks to this technology, that finally we are able to speak. And one thing which I've noted about Dr. Rupesh Jha is that whenever I talk to you, Rupesh, I always found that you always talk a lot about proactive health management as a matter of family practice, as a matter of habits. And I think in between we happened to speak a couple of times. I welcome Dr. Rupesh Jha to this. I prefer calling it heart-to-heart conversation. And to say a bit about him, he has studied from the Royal College of General Practitioners, and before that he has studied at Kilpock Medical College. We'll speak, I think, we'll request Dr. Jha to speak, to share something about him, because medical is a field, Dr. Rupesh, as you know, for people like us, we do not know beyond certain medicines, like that's the way the world is. So welcome you once again, Dr. Rupesh, to this heart-to-heart conversation, and we'll keep it very informal. There is no scripting here. It's all happening on the spot. And we thought of talking to you so that we can get some messages for the audience, the messages of not only about medicines, but also about proactive health management. So what do you, Dr. Jha, would you like to share something about the kind of work which you're doing? I know that you are doing a great work in in UK, in Birmingham. And I think it's better that you say something about your work, and then we'll pick up from there. Thank you so much for making it possible to join us today.
No, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to come and share. The most interesting thing is you get people, day-to-day common people on your chats and things, people whom you can feel, touch. Sometimes you can always see all these big celebrities and stuff. So thank you. So I'm a qualified GP. I'm a general practitioner. So I did my MBBS from India in 2001. And then in 2004, I moved to UK. So I've been in here. And then I trained as a family doctor, as a family physician. And over the years, did a formal training. And then currently I'm a fellow of the Royal College of General Practitioners, which is one of the highest honors you can get in family medicine.
Wow.
I run a small clinic, my own setup. So people who are not aware of the health system in the NHS, people would have come to know that there is lots of talk about proactive health, and whatever you do, there's never enough of a medical system that can look after. So NHS used to be one of the best systems in the country, in the world, in fact, 1948. But people who are following the NHS as we speak, you can see that it's in deep trouble, just because there is not enough for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And So that's where we are in this situation.
So thank you so much. I think you said a couple of very important points. First point which you said is very, very important. You said that, yes, I have been bringing some people, used the word common. Actually, these people are not common, including everybody, including all the people who have been there. And what you said is absolutely right, because I have seen many podcasters inviting people who already have got a fan following. They have got 1 million followers on social media, so that, you know, the podcasters also get some leverage out of it. I also saw over last many years the fact that the world is heavily and unfairly inclined towards people who have got a brand image, because brand image is something which comes out of a lot of efforts, and there is a group of people who are working, you know, untiringly day and night to build a brand. Having said that, there are people from the society who probably may not have been, you know, they are not known that well by the people in the society, but the kind of work which these people have been doing is the volume of work which is actually taking the society and countries ahead. There are people who are working for the upliftment, for the elevation of villages and the life, quality of life for people in villages. There are people who have been doing some remarkably great work in the field of music, in the field of corporate life. I have seen mostly what happens is that in corporates, Dr. Rupesh Jha, there are many people who are doing something great, but then these stories never come out in common domain. And what happened is that, you know, on a very interesting note, when I started writing books, so I wrote quite a few ideas, not to just to. So these are the books which I wrote, and of course there are many which I've written in this year, which are going to come in 2023 and 2024. While writing these books, I got a very clear indication that we all have got not one but a lot of books hidden within us. Everybody in this world has got something which is there to inspire people. Everybody, I mean. There could be some people who actually have not added positive value to the society. Even those lives have got something to get inspiration from. You know, even those lives tell us what are those things which one should never, you know, get inspired from. What are those things which people should avoid doing. Having said that, I got a feeling that people like you have got a dozen books. It's just that we have to just spend some time, and somebody has to take the first to write it down and then let these books be published. Having said that, I also knew that writing and publishing a book about everybody is not possible. So then I decided, why don't I talk to at least one person every day? So nowadays, almost every day I'm talking to one person. I have got a backlog of at least 15 interactions which need to be converted into videos. And again, I have got some 5 to 6 interactions planned over next 1 week. So then I thought, at least can I try to bring out at least 300 stories every year? Is it possible? And then the journey has started. I'm so happy to have you in this heart-to-heart conversation show. I don't call it a show; it's an interactive forum conversation. And you said something. So that's one thing about you said, which is very important. So that's my passion, to bring out the stories of people, probably about whom other people do not care talking to and bringing these stories. Whereas these stories are actually even more powerful. Nowadays, you might have read about what is happening in Bollywood in India. You know, so people have started realizing the fact that actually there are heroes who have been hiding beneath them, you know, within them. And probably there is a kind of, you know, sentiment which you might have seen on social media, on news, also news channels, that now I think people have started realizing that real heroes are those who are fighting on the borders. Real heroes are those who have shown the kind of work which these medical practitioners and doctors did in the days of pandemic. You know, they actually put their own risk with their own safety at stake. So these are the real heroes. And I think this is something which has gained a kind of understanding and common momentum. And that's the reason I think there is a lot which we need to bring. Of course, this is just one of the mediums. So Dr. Jha, you also spoke a lot about the fact that, so you said something about your study in Royal Medical College. Would you like to share something about it?
In the UK, general practice or family medicine, what we call it in the US. So once you go through a training, you have to finish your exam to be qualified as a GP.
Okay.
So that's the current situation at the moment. Now, I would imagine, I mean, I don't have the exact number, but I would imagine that there will be a significant number. To be a family practitioner in the UK, you have to, especially now, you have to be a member of the college.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, once you're a member, and then after a few years, you become a fellow, provided you have done the work to uplift the values of the college.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the number will be in thousands. I don't have the exact
Just a few
number, but
thousands.
definitely
Yeah,
in
that's
thousands.
that's an amazing, I think, achievement. I'll say, of course, I'm saying this with humility, and that's a great news. So, Dr. Jha, how do you look at the concept of healthcare in the UK, for example? Because you spoke about family health management. I think there is a concept of having family doctors. In India, I do
Correct.
not see this concept that having ingrained that well in the society is something which might be evolving. This something which might be there in some of the biggest of cities, and this is something which is only limited to a few families or a few people who can afford this. So would you like to share something about what exactly this concept of family doctor and
Sure.
management is? Yeah.
Sure. So the way the government has looking after the health is there is a so every person living in UK has got a family doctor. Say the moment you're born, you register with a local family doctor.
Wow.
So every area, if you give it an Indian context, every mohalla, every area community will have a family doctor and more than one family doctor.
Okay.
And people have a choice to go and register with any of them, and that's free of cost. So NHS, when it was established, you don't have to go and pay money to see a doctor. Anyone can walk in. Now, that's the kind of original setup. In the process of looking after everyone's health, so you look after, as a family physician, you look after a newborn as well as the grandparents. So you look after the entire family. You look after the mother, father, children, grandparents, and the whole family. And the reason behind it is that once you have a family doctor, not so somebody may be ill, maybe down low and depressed, but the reason for depression may be the family, maybe not. But if you know the family, if you know the things, you get to know more about the patient, more about the things. And that's where you patients value a kind of a relationship, a trust which you have with a medical professional. Again, because it's free of charge, there is no personal kind of benefit as such in terms of writing medication, prescriptions, investigations and things. But any system has got a limit. It can only survive to a limit, no matter how you do it. So it sounds very great. Oh, you have a problem, you can immediately go and see a doctor. Now, if the doctor thinks you need to see a chest specialist, you need to go and see a cardiologist, you need to see a gastroenterologist, he will make arrangements. But he will take that initial call. Unlike in India, where you think you got a chest pain, you go and see a cardiologist, you think you got a problem. So one of the things in India people do is people make their own diagnosis.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty good joke in India that India has 1.4 billion doctors because everyone is a kind of
that. So there is a saying in Hindi that Neem Hakim Khatraye Jaan. So there are people who are self-proclaimed medical advisors.
I mean, we saw this in COVID. People did all sorts of things to fight COVID. Things there are pretty good things that's available. But I think it's nice to have someone who is trained, who is professional, who knows what he's talking about, and having that. So that's how the system works.
So that's interesting. That's interesting. And then how do you see the overall awareness and the standard or level of proactive health management or health management in UK society, so that we can get some lifts out of that for people in India? So let's try and see if we can get some of these lessons which people can implement here. Yeah.
It's very interesting you say that. So you would expect that once you have something so much focus on lots of government promotions on stopping smoking, stopping alcohol, looking after your health checks. So all these things, master health checks, which we talk about in India, you have this free of charge. How many people take it? Very few. So I think it's going back to your basic sort of things, is self-awareness. No matter even if it is free, no matter if it is up there, unless you have that self-awareness about your own health, unless you take the responsibility yourself, there can only be certain things the government can do. But no matter what they do, unless people are aware, the importance of proactive health, clearly prevention is better than cure. This is an old adage. Everyone knew about it. How we transform this into real life. So We still have people, cancer rates are still high. We still miss a lot of cancers. We still have a lot of processed food in our industry, in our kind of schools. There is still a lot of obesity in the country. So I would say that, we are doing great in terms of proactive health, but we know that once you manage to understand the concepts of proactive health before you actually see the doctor, as I said, I'm the last person who would like to see any of my family to see a doctor, because I think you can prevent. So that's why the situation is how you manage to look after your own self, and the journey starts with looking after your own self before you look after anyone else.
That's very interesting. Suppose we take, let's take one example. Suppose we pick at random a group of 100 people, patients or whatever people, or proactive health seekers who came to you for last few months. Out of those 100 people, what percentage of people or how many people actually came as a proactive health seekers? And how many people came as reactive health seekers? Already they have become patient and then they rush to you to seek some advice.
Correct. Yeah. So proactive health awareness is still, I would say, around 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
20%. Yeah.
20%.
So there will be still, if you invite 10 people to come for a proactive health sort of things, there'll be 2-3 max people there. So, and this is nothing to do, this is boils down to their habits, that boils down to the human nature. There's nothing wrong in this sort of things. It's the human nature. It's not broken, why fix it? It's not broken, why fix it? Wait for it to broke, and then sort of things. So people feel, oh, I'm walking fine, I'm doing things. Why should I have my blood pressure checked? Why should I have my last night I put a video for community. So the risk for diabetes, for instance, just going back, because my interest is diabetes, you don't need any risk factor for, if they say, oh, nobody in my family has diabetes, मेरे घर में किसी को diabetes नहीं है. But the very fact you are an Asian, you have a high risk. The very fact you are an Asian, you have high risk for cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
So these are important things to understand. If you are born in India, automatically you are at a very high risk, no matter what you do.
What is there a number to this high risk percentage? I mean, is there a number to say that by this percentage they are higher
so
at risk?
Roughly around 25%. You are kind of more likely to be having diabetes if you are born in India or a South Asian country.
Okay.
So
this is interesting. Yeah. So you said still I think the percentage of people who are looking for proactive health management is pretty high. 20% is pretty high a number, because, and you also said one thing that despite the fact that it's a free facility in UK, of course I wish it was free for people in India. People have to pay here a lot, but I think things are getting better. There are some mohalla clinics, so there are a lot of things which people have been experimenting with. Let's hope that these are genuine efforts and these actually help people in the field of health management. What I've seen is that, for example, I do a program in the morning hours, 5:30 to 6:30, which I prefer calling as magical morning rituals for greatness. So I call it as 10x success and joy through MMRG. To put it simply, it's like habits, how to build those healthy habits, how to build those habits which will bring us focus, concentration, which will bring us calmness, which will, help us in managing our anger, to, making certain things as a part of our habit. I also feel that when I kept it free, nobody came. I mean, nobody came. And still they know that it's something which I've been talking about. There is something at least people could have tried. Some people came, and those who came, they became permanent members. And those who didn't come, they never came. So I got a realization that even if we keep it free, people, even if it's a great thing, people, maybe by nature we are suspicious. We get a feeling that sasta matlab free mein rakha kuch to nahi hai isme. There is nothing in it. Then I made it, then I put some charges attached to it. And then I saw some people coming up, actually. That's very interesting a field. So I also saw that all the people who join me are the ones who already have got something serious in their career and life, or maybe in the field of health. So it's a reactive word. It's a reactive word. While talking to you over phone over last couple of years in between, we used to catch up. I always got a feeling that you are a person, you are a doctor who is talking about habits. Would you like to say something about some of these habits which Indian scriptures have been talking over last many hundreds of years, thousands of years rather, morning ritual, morning habits, yogasana, meditation, or whatever you want to share on this thing?
Yeah, no, I said, so first of all, I would say myself to be anywhere close to where I would like to be. So I think I like your concept of being a better version of yourself. So if I compete with myself last year or 2 years, I think I have made slight progress. So I think the journey is there.
But still
have
you
I
made progress.
achieved?
That's important. Many people are not making any progress at all. Maybe
Yeah.
90-80% of people are just the same. That's what I've seen.
And when when somebody says, oh, you should never compare, you should never compare, I think you should always compare, but you should compare it to yourself. You should always compete with yourself. You should never compete with someone else, because we all are wired, and that's a different discussion. But if you look at yourself, what you were 2 years back, 3 years back, to what you are now, and if you think you have made progress, and when I say progress, I talk in terms of growth, both spiritual, intellectual, and yourself kind of things. So where have you developed in these three areas? So if you say that, probably yes, knowledge wise I have been static. I've told all my students that if, or in fact, during COVID time, when the world was locked down, if you didn't get an extra qualification, that means you must be really doing something not nice. You should have done something really productive. That was the best time to do any kind of extra skill, extra knowledge, extra thing, whatever it may be. So we had plenty
All
of
these
time.
books I did in the year of pandemic in 2020.
There
So
you
I
go.
think it's the
There
right
you
reason.
go.
Many people got a lot of certifications, while because they used to have some time. For example, I used to save some 3 to 4 hours every day because of no travel. And it was just a matter of, whether people want to watch Netflix, which was looking for expanding its business base in those years, or whether people want to do something which they had been thinking of doing, but for which they couldn't get time. It's very interesting
Correct.
idea. Yeah.
So in terms of, and one of my favorite books is the 5 a.m. Club. So I really kind of, and if you look at it from a different perspective, the Indian scripts, Indian mythologies, we always called it getting up early in the morning. We never knew about 5 a.m. Club. I know somebody has capitalized that concept and said the journey starts early, Brahma Muhurat, and all those things. We knew about it long back, and having that things. So when you start your day early, and again, you will have hawks, you will have owls, different kind of personalities.
Yeah.
The basic idea is that, can you develop habits that help you grow and develop? And that could be anything, as long as you have made a progress from yourself compared to what you were.
Yeah.
And if it's not work, change it. So I think that's the key concept is about whatever you may do, pranayams, you can do yogas, asanas, whatever. The key bit obviously is about obesity, sleep. So I have an interest in lifestyle medicine. That's my key kind of things about how you prevent disease, rather than and having that discussion.
Yeah.
And how do you kind of make that small, I like your concept about spark, when you say barud and spark. So everyone has got that barud inside. You need to just put that spark. How do you give that spark to the person in
So
front
that
of you?
no, this is very interesting. I'll just take a pause here. So I'll just take a couple of minutes. So this is one of the backgrounds which I use while conducting these morning sessions at 5:30. We have started this from 1st of August. The idea was to see that it's not only that country has got independence, let people also realize that they can also get independence, freedom from their worries of life, the negativity. Many people have got this negativity, so they can get freedom from negativity, negative thoughts, their many health problems. Because what I've seen is that if people start doing something like breathing exercises, they start running, they start jogging, they start doing some kind of affirmations and visualization, and maybe some of these things like attitude of gratitude, their entire mind, the way they're looking at their day changes, and days become weeks, and weeks become months, and months become years, and that's what life is all about. So I think once people start winning their day every single day, I think life changes, and I've seen people changing completely. But going back to from where we started our interaction, it's all about proactive mindset. So those people who come, they come because they either have got something which they didn't like. So now again, it's a matter of reactivity, a reactive mindset, or else there are some people who want to do it proactively. But in India, I think the percentage of these people who want to do something proactively is very less. I think it's certainly lesser than 20%. Very nice. Great. You also spoke about some of these habits like yoga, yogasanas, pranayam. Now there is a debate which says that it all went across the world from India. Is there any debate in UK? I mean, how do people look at some of these practices like meditation, breathing exercises, pranayam? Do they talk about it? And do they talk about this while talking about India? So how is the general concept while looking at it from an outsider's, from your perspective? Yeah.
Oh no, definitely. I think so. Yoga, pranayam, asana. I think it has its roots and origins in India. No matter, and sometimes it's interesting that when you look at a yoga uh, class or yoga session, it's been uh, conducted by someone who's been to Haridwar, Rishikesh,
Okay.
been spent some time there, and then they all do a. So there are specific courses. There are specific courses and programs where you can do all these programs to become a certified yoga teacher. There are programs in temples, in schools, not every school for that matter, but clearly the concept of mindfulness and meditation has always been there.
Yeah.
I think in the last few years you have seen more of these happening compared to what, and the reason is because starting from school, from children, sort of things, people have been interacting more with their iPhones and their mobile phones than with their friends sitting next to them, because
Yeah.
that's the world. So definitely there is a talk about all these things, and the origins have, we all know. And it's always nice to have a good yoga teacher who can teach you the real
Always
some.
good.
So there is, I mean, probably yoga, difference between yoga and yoga. So the trying to connect between your own self, that's the kind of the
Yeah.
key message behind yoga.
Absolutely right. I also saw one thing, just to digress for a couple of minutes on while staying on the same point. I also saw that when people start spending some time in the morning hours, it's not only that they gain health benefits, they also get some benefits which I think people know, but many people do not talk about it. And that is later. I'm just looking for something which I wanted to share with the audience. And yeah, all these books which I'm sharing here, all these books I wrote while mostly writing in early morning hours. I've got a couple of YouTube channels where I've got some 700 plus videos. All the videos were thought of in the morning hours. I recorded my first podcast in the morning hours while I used to cover myself with kind of woolen blankets, and then I started recording some of these podcasts, and all these creations, whatever inverted comma, happened between 5 to 6 o'clock. And then I started thinking about the fact that even the book which you spoke about, 5M Club, the writer actually, when Robin Sharma wrote his first book, he spoke about Himalayas and somebody having gone to Himalayas to seek solace, to seek, some kind of enlightenment, and then the person comes back to life. And then I saw that there is something which people have been calling as Brahmurta, the alpha state of mind, and all these things which people have been talking about. I feel that if people just, and that's a message which I want to share with all the people, because actually, Dr. Jha, you would be happy to know that I have started a series of interactions, series of 2-hour talks, which are on the topic of the power of 1 hour, ek ghante ki shakti, in which I have been going to as many corporates as possible. I do it free of cost. I just go and talk to people, and then I tell them my journey, which I started in 2018, and I got books, videos, creative, and everything out of just 1 hour, which I spent every single day over last 5 years. It's all a matter of being consistent, and it's all a matter of just spending 1 hour every single day. So this is one message which I want to spread across the world through this video. I would like as many people as possible to at least start spending some time in the morning, which will certainly make it healthier. About while thinking about the society, which will also, I think, bring some of these qualities on which many books have been written. We are talking about emotional intelligence. People talk about focus. People talk about anger management. But I think it all comes through experience, as Albert Einstein had said, that true knowledge is only something which comes from experience. I would like people to just spend some time in the morning. Maybe you're going to start with 15 minutes in case somebody is waking up at 7 o'clock. Just to start waking up at 6:45. You don't have to go for 3:30 and 4:30. Not at all. It's all one step at a time. Once you yourself start seeing, experiencing, then you get the true knowledge, as Einstein said. And then automatically people will start, preponing their time of waking up early in the morning, and then life change. I have seen life change completely. Thank you so much, Dr. Jha. And then you spoke about proactive medicine or something. Proactive medicine. Would you like to share something on that line? How exactly it
Yeah.
works? And yeah.
So proactive kind of things, as you mentioned, rightly mentioned, that people come when they're ill. So in our trade, so the best thing would be when people come and see us when they're not ill, but that does not happen very usually. So the very fact there's a doctor, only when you get ill you need to go and see a doctor. Otherwise, don't go and see a doctor. Similar with the dentist. If you have a dental pain, only again. And that's not how dentistry is meant to be, or medicine is meant to be. We all need to understand our human body. You need an annual checkup. You need a kind of regular visits. So that concept is still lacking. Now, clearly, if you can stop something early, if you can catch it early, if you can change the path early, it really makes sense than to realize, oh, I've been having this for the last so many years. Most of the diseases will not have any symptom unless you get really bad. So, for instance, yeah, people have been eating outside, people have been sleeping less, people have been spending late in sort of things, and people have different ways, and maybe it suits them, and as long as they can cope. But we all understand that that's not your body how it's designed. So there's very something interesting I read, that if every person read, when you get a new fridge, you read the manual just to make sure you're checking it. You get a new iPhone, you get things, you open things. Nobody's read the book of your own body. Nobody wants to read the book of their own body because there's nothing wrong. You can't see any rash, you can't see any pimples, you can't see anything. You just carry on. So the whole idea is, if you sleep well, if you eat the right food, if you have a right time for meditation, if you have the pillars of lifestyle medicine, what we call it, you will not need to see the doctor. I'm not saying you should not see a doctor. The chances are that you will have a healthy life, and obviously you will be in a much better position than you would when you get ill. So the proactive health refers to that situation where you are proactively kind of looking after it. There are programs in the UK. I'm sure there are programs in India where they can look after you. But what you are doing is a life transformation, which is also a kind of proactive health, where you get better at what you are, sort of things, and just unfold the hidden powers.
Absolutely. No, you are absolutely right. Very nice. So that's excellent. I know that we have got a limitation of time. This is early morning hour, and thank you so much once again for having joined us. Let me share some of the pictures which I've got from your social media pages without telling you. So I'll start with this. I had one person who is a musician, and he came to talk to me in the last session. So, do you feel music? I say, Doctor Jha, I think singing something. So, do you feel music? And I think we all know that music is important for mental peace, for happiness, for joy. So, would you like to share something about this picture? And then we'll move on to some more pictures. I've got a lot.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'm not very great to social media. Something. I'm the most inactive person. Every now and then, maybe something comes up.
Yeah.
So this is a close friend of mine in
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
So every now and then we sit and we sing, and we have this karaoke system at his house, and we play all these songs.
Wow.
And music will open a different aspect of yours. In fact, it's very interesting. I was in India not long back. So in India, in Bangalore, for instance, the science fails, physics fails, because distance is not measured in kilometers or miles. It's measured in songs. So
yeah. How many songs you go there?
Yeah. So if you go from, I don't know, A to B in Bangalore, you can't say it'll take you, it's 1 kilometer or 5 kilometers. It tells you how many songs. And I think that's the concept you have. And yes, it keeps you going, kind of things, because yes, you can you can listen to full all the YouTube's jukebox from Arijit Singh during that journey. That may be 20 songs, that may be 15 songs. So this, and music is definitely it brings a different person out of you, no matter where you are, what part of the world you are.
I've got 2 points coming out of this picture, coming out of what you just said. So first thing is that, of course, I think many people I know who once upon a time they used to love singing, they used to do something related to music, but then as they got busy with their work, they stopped practicing. So how often do you get time to sing? That's the first question.
Oh yes, I would. So you sing every day, but it's something like this. I don't get a chance to sing every so often, putting a karaoke.
Yeah.
But yes, you get a chance to sing when you're on your own, when nobody's listening, in your car. So you sing when you're coming back from work. When you sing when you go to work. So that opportunity is there everywhere. Clearly, my kids tell me that, Dad, you must not sing in front of anyone. So I listen to them.
No, that's great. I think what you've shared is amazing. And let me share with all the audience that I have written all my books. So by now I have completed more than 10 books. Some 5, 6 will come over next few years. Not a single page I've written without having some kind of meditation music. As you find, these music, clips on YouTube. You just go and type meditation music. These are the music elements. These are not exactly meditation music. These are the musicals which have got instruments. So it's a flute, something is playing, and then you just listen to, because you don't want to listen to the words, because then you get distracted. That's the power of music. It gives that kind of environment. It gives that kind of very positive and relaxed environment, I think. And I think as you very nicely said, that you sing almost every day. Every day you said that. That's very interesting. That's very, very important. So audience, add some music in case you are missing this in your life. Add some music, which is very important. And I have seen that many of these morning sessions will have some kind of music. So we'll play some kind of music for 5 minutes time while people meditate and while people are visualizing their success, their day, or whatever they're doing. So it's very interesting. Second point is that talking about Bangalore. Now, Bangalore, as we all know, is a place where people take not minutes, but they take hours while traveling. And it's very interesting way of converting a seemingly boring, kind of, thing into something which is catching the imagination of people. The only change which I can suggest for some people, at least in Bangalore, and for people in other cities, is that instead of measuring the distances in terms of number of songs, they can measure the distances in terms of number of chapters of audible, some book. So they can also listen to once in a while. Of course, music is important. You can also listen to some chapters. There are nice audible books which are there. There was a time between 2018, rather 2016 till 2019, when I used to travel for almost 3 hours every day. So one way, almost 1.5 hours kind of. So almost 3 to 3.5 hours. And I initially used to get a feeling that, oh my God, it's like I'm killing my time. It's time which is wasted. And that's the normal common perception. And then I just reset my thought process. I said, Arun, this is your time. This is the time when you can finish one book every second day. And this is the time when nobody is going to bother you, because the moment you tell somebody that, hey, sorry, I'm driving, they will say, oh, don't be talking, I'll call you later. And this is your time. And the day I had this little reset, my life changed. I can't tell you how many programs I have completed while, being in the car. Of course, I used to have a chauffeur, so I used to drive, and then I used to, my rear seat used to get converted into my learning center for 3 hours every day. That was powerful. It's all a matter of resetting the way you are thinking, and that is, and going, and again, the example which you gave to start with while talking about Bangalore is again hinting towards the same thing. So, measuring distances in terms of number of songs. I know many mentees, many people are going to watch it. Some of the people have been connected with me. They know what I'm going to say now. Is that it's all a matter of perspective. Drishtikon jo Hindi mein bolte, the way you look at something is something which is going to change your life. It's not something which is happening to you. It's the way you respond to something. So I have seen people who have been measuring their successes in terms of number of failures. I have seen people who have been measuring their journey of health management, proactive health management, in terms of number of setbacks which they have seen happening in their family with some other people. And it's just that these people actually got the cues and they started doing something proactively. So I would like audience to think about it. It's a great example. Let me go to the second next picture. And I have it without asking for permission from Dr. Rupesh. So this is a picture which, of course, in the backdrop, it does not show the entire picture. I'm going to share this picture while editing the video. Would you like to share something? Is Dr. Rupesh leading the group? Cycling. So how often do you get to do cycling?
Or yes, so the one in the front green jacket is me. So this is like, so we did a cycling 40 miles. That's almost like, what, 56? Okay. 64 kilometers, just over 64 kilometers of cycling from Birmingham to Coventry, in fact.
Okay. That's what is the distance?
So distance-wise is roughly, so we didn't go directly from Birmingham to Coventry. We went via kind of, total distance was 42 miles.
42 miles, which is around 60 plus kilometers. It's a beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I think those are twin cities, kind of, not twin cities.
Yeah.
So, very well connected.
Yeah. So now the question is how often I do cycling. So this is something which I had. So I used to cycle a lot. In fact, I still have a cycle and I miss my cycling. So I developed a kind of a neck problem 2 years back. So in that position while I was cycling, it's a road bike. So I was asked to give it a rest, and then we had. But this is something which I can do anytime. I love cycling, so it's when the weather is good, because you don't want a windy kind of thing. So otherwise the risk is very high.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful cycle paths. Cycling is something. So it's a nice open kind of things. And we always grown, you know, while growing up, I don't know if I had calculated the miles I did my cycling, I would have done almost beaten a world record. Because while growing up, everything was on cycle, from either getting your groceries, your shopping, your milk, or to going for a tuition or for a school. You did cycling every so often. So that kept you fit.
I'm going to put some pictures of the place that Dr. Jha is talking about, and this takes me down the memory lane. It's very heartening for me to think of the fact that I'm talking to somebody with whom we used to spend some time while being in early school days, right? In the school days. And actually I used to know Dr. Rupesh Jha's elder brother, Rajesh, and that's how I came to know of Dr. Rupesh Jha. Of course, in those times we used to call him Bittu, and and of course he was very good. You have been a very good student, brilliant student. And I'm talking about a place from where many people come. There are many groups on social media, and I'm pretty sure this video is going to be seen by hundreds and thousands of people from that town, because I'll certainly share the link on those groups. There are groups from Sindri, which is one of the most beautiful, small but beautiful townships which one can think of. There was not a single house without a road in front of the house. That was the kind of planning in the eastern part of India. And very nice to be talking to people who have outgrown the boundaries, and they have settled across the world, which is very nice. Thank you so much for reminding me. And yeah, so this is a beautiful track. And I think normally I have seen that people do cycling for 15 kilometers, 10 kilometers, but this is 60 kilometers plus, I think, which is great, which is an amazing thing. And I think in many countries, I've seen, even last week I was talking to somebody from Australia. Darren Pai is from Australia. He's a CEO, and he told me that the kind of routine which people follow in Australia is absolutely amazing. He actually called his little daughter before, because she was getting ready for the school, and he showed me that, okay, these are the fruits which I'm going to stuff into inside a tiffin box, and banana. Then I asked him to name the fruits. He spoke about all kind of fruits, which people make it a habit to eat in Australia. And that's the reason when Virat Kohli, for example, went to Australia, he got beaten badly in the first tour, and then he decided, I'm going to change everything about my eating habits. And then when he came back, now Virat Kohli is totally different, 90% vegan and all dry fruits and nuts and this and that. And we are talking about a Delhi guy who used to have chola bhaturas and all kind of stuff. So I think some of these countries, Australia, England, UK, and some of these countries, I think, would you like to share something about their eating habits? The fact, of course, and people talk about Coke and this and that, but I think there is a passion for sports. I see in some of these countries, kayaking, cycling, running, jogging, mountaineering, trekking. There are a lot of programs on National Geographic and Discovery where people from some of these countries are in passion. So would you like to say something about the healthy habits also of some people from some of these countries? Let's talk about UK.
So let's understand the basic idea behind it. So this again goes back to proactive health. Our bodies are designed to move. So the human body is designed to be physically active, and physical activity is the key thing. Now, I'll show you a very basic statistics. So sitting 8 hours a day is almost as bad as smoking. Or if I told you it was just below smoking. So if you sat in a chair in an office and did 8 hours of desk job, sitting for 8 hours a day is just not as, I would say, just below smoking in terms of risk factors.
It's worse than smoking.
So, yes. So if you were smoking, and if you were said, so somebody who's non-smoker, but he's sitting 8 hours a day in his office, doing his desk job. So I think you can understand the power of physical activity, what it does. So, and obviously the kind of job I do, I have an office. So I have a standing desk. So if you come to my office, I have my desk is standing. I don't have a treadmill desk yet, but I have a standing desk. So I stand and work all throughout the day. When I get tired, obviously I pull my kind of down, but usually that does not happen. But sometimes I get some patients who want to talk something very sensitive. So I bring my desk down, I pull my chair, and we have a conversation. So going back to this physical activity, you need to move. You need to be physically active. Now that could take any shape. That could take walking, jogging, hiking, running, kayaking, or whatever you mentioned, cycling. That's the basic thing, and that is a part of proactive health. If somebody is listening and who said, oh, I sit 8 hours a day, and you say, but I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol, but you're sitting 8 hours a day, you are at high risk from any kind of cardiovascular disease. So do something. Take 5-10 minutes of break in between your sittings. Go for a walk. But don't break does not mean switch looking at your phones. Break doesn't mean making a quick call. Break doesn't mean checking your emails. Go out. Go in the nature.
Go for a walk.
Look, go out in the nature. Just UK has a bad weather. It's always rains in UK. There's very few months. So find an appropriate gear to go out. There's a good saying that there's never a bad weather. There's always bad clothing. So you have to find the appropriate clothing to go out. Put your hat.
I can see all of you wearing a rain jacket or rain suit or something. Waterproof jacket in this while cycling. I can see that, right?
Yeah, so there was just a windy kind of things. It's a very windy sort of thing.
Wind sheeter.
So you just need to keep that in case it starts to rain. So you have a tight cycling kit as well. But the key message is you need to be physically active. Whatever you do, you don't say, oh, I haven't got a cycle. Just walk. So you can do that. So, but walking, any kind of physical activity is important. Again, this is with my lifestyle hat on.
This is very powerful, Dr. Jha. Thank you so much for sharing. I know some people might have seen some videos, but still many people do not get the message. I'll actually, in addition to sharing this whole video, I'll also make a small clip of this part of conversation and share it with people. I wanted to bring one point, and this on the same, while staying on the same topic. It's a very important point because I have seen people working on their desks because they have got to make a presentation which has got a deadline of tonight, and people are not only sitting for 8 hours. I've seen people sitting for 12 hours, 13 hours. I've also seen that happening, and there are no surprises that lots and lots of serious, dangerous and serious health effects, health implications are being seen among people working in corporates. I've got many examples of people who actually had very serious outcomes at the early age of, in their early 40s, in their early late 30s also. Some people lost their lives also without any kind of visible reason. And these people were the top-notch professionals in their corporates. And I think some of these examples actually, some of these things which you're talking about, probably when people do some of these things on a regular basis for many years, this becomes very serious. I think you said that even for one day, if somebody is sitting and working for 8 hours without taking breaks is worse than smoking. Another point, I have seen that many students nowadays, I'm talking about teenagers, in the age of those who are below 20 years or maybe a little above 20 years. Many youngsters have seen getting into the habit of video games, scrolling through social media pages, watching these reels and kind of stuff. And then I've seen that the easiest way, we all are, people basically are lazy by nature, as we all know, the easiest way for them is to just lie down on a nice sofa and then go on scrolling. And then this becomes a habit. Even while studying, I've seen some students, they will just sit in a very easy pose. They'll put some kind of, nowadays, Amazon has got all these very, gadgets. For example, there is a table which you can spread above your belly, which is protruding, and then you put things on the table along with some can and something, and then you also put your book, and there is a cell phone, and there are all kind of distractions. The world of distractions are waiting for you, waiting for grabbing your attention out of your book. And then people are sitting there because since it's a very comfortable setup which they build while studying, they are there in that posture while being on their bed for 2, 3, 4 hours. Would you like to make some comment about the students? What should they do? What is there some kind of posture while studying? Is there some way that they should keep on walking while studying? Because in the days of pandemic, many students have started studying from home also. So, and there are many people working from home. Would you like to share something about how exactly they should do?
So again, with the lifestyle, so bed is only meant to sleep or to have sex, nothing else. Bed is meant to have, this is the purpose of a bed.
Yes.
If you use the bed for anything else other than these two things, then you are probably not using. So you can't sleep and read. You can't be in that position. Clearly, if you are poorly, if you're unwell, you can sit. But when you are fit, you use your bed only to sleep.
Absolutely.
Bed is only meant to sleep. That's the purpose of a bed. So a lot of people have sleep problems. And what they do is they lie in bed and they flick their pages or they read a book. No, if you're not feeling sleepy, come out of bed, sit in a chair and read. Sit in a wherever you are. But when you feel tired, go back and close your eyes, because bed, you can't do anything else. You can't listen to a music, or you can't do this. Maybe you could do that if it helps you sleep, but you can't keep your senses alert. So clearly, if you
Absolutely.
are kind of a thing, there is a reason behind it. Because when you are in that position, you are not giving the correct angle to your eyes, your current kind of things. And all that you want to do is to get the maximum out of 1 hour of your revision. If you're a student, if you're reading it for an hour, you want to get the most out of that hour.
Yeah.
The moment you're not focusing well, the moment you're not kind of looking at the correct angle and stuff, you are in that position where you'll not be able to make the most out of that hour. So you use your table, you just, and I think all these things, I'm sure everyone knows about it. The question is how much of us we understand the science, to how much we implement in our real life. So I think that becomes a tricky bit.
Yeah, no, I think I'm reflecting on some of the thoughts which you shared, because see, the world around us is busy thinking about the need which people are creating, and that's the reason all these kind of accessories have come on Amazon here in India, especially I've seen, so that you can just lie down in whichever pose you want to lie, you can still drink, eat, and whatever. And what I've seen is that if you're lying this way, I can't, focus, gain that kind of focus while doing something which is meaningful, because as you rightly said, you do not get that kind of focus. And the moment you sit in a pose like this on a chair in front of a table, things change. For example, while conducting these heart-to-heart conversations, I always prefer to stand, because while standing, it makes it more meaningful a conversation. If I sit down, I see that you become more, at ease, at peace. But while standing, it builds that energy. So amazing! Every posture counts. Every posture counts, especially in Indian setup. I have seen many people eating on bed, sleeping on bed, reading on bed, doing everything on bed. So those who are doing at times, I also might have done some of these things. I know my wife is going to see it, and she's going to tell me that you talk a lot of ideals, and do you follow all of this yourself? I know many wives are going to ask this question. So I think very interesting, very important discussion. Let me move on to the next picture. I'm pretty sure, audience, you can make the real meaning of the adage, the saying which you must have read, which you must have heard of since your childhood days. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And we can see a lot of stories coming out of just one picture. So let me move on to the next picture. And it's my passion to bring out stories of inspiration from anything and everything, from people, from picture, from nothing also. So I love it. Let me come to the next picture which I saw. And
so you have done your homework, I guess.
no, actually, that's the reason I took 10 extra minutes. 10 extra minutes, but actually I could have done better homework, but still I let it in this part of conversation. Yeah. So now comes the next picture. Would you like to share something about this picture?
Yes, this is a photo of mom and dad. So this is picture in 2016.
Okay.
You can see mom and dad somewhere in that picture in front, in the red cardigan and blue salwar. That's my mother, and next to mom is dad. So they were here in 2015-16, and this is somewhere in Europe. They went on a Europe trip for 10 days in that bus with all Hindi-speaking people, with all Hindi food, Indian food. So they had a nice time, and this photograph is from there. They had several stops across, covering Switzerland, France, Belgium. So this is from one of their hotels. So that's kind of things.
Amazing. I think must have been an amazing arrangement which you must have made, which people must have made, that, for 10 days they are with people and they are celebrating. I always tell people that, and it's something which we all have to reflect on. When we reflect back on our life after a few decades, after a few years, these are the moments which we'll cherish, we'll remember, isn't it? We'll not remember those 10 hours of presentation making kind of times. So it's very important for people to. Would you like to share something on the significance of taking a break? Normally, people in India, typically I've seen, they feel guilty while applying for a leave. And if the boss says, hey, why don't you stay back? Because there is a need for you. Otherwise, the world is going to crash down. And the person will say, yes, boss, I'll stay back. And then there are a lot of stories around, the sacrifice which the person has made are made around in the corporate, saying that, wow, this guy is amazing. This guy has been cancelling his leave over last couple of years. Would you like to share something on the importance of taking a break like this, which is very important? Holidays.
Oh, absolutely. I think, So going back to my previous thing about the human body and human book, that the every once in a while you defrost your fridge, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we defrost our fridge. We don't keep the television on all the time. This is exactly what's happening with human body. Human body has to go through that process of complete shutdown. And when you
Yeah.
take a break, all that you're doing is you're recharging yourself. So when you sleep, for instance, that is part of your break. So if somebody says that you're sleeping eight hours a day, every single day, nice, proper sleep, great, that's a good break. If you are not sort of a person who says, "Oh, I can manage with 5 hours," I think you're lying to yourself, because you can't be. You need 8 hours of proper sleep, no matter what you do, whether you're a student and things. Maybe some people can do with 7 hours, but you need proper 8 hours of sleep. So last night I went to bed at 9 o'clock. I knew I had to, be ready for 5 o'clock sort of things, and normally I'm around 5:30. So you need to have that break on a regular basis. And what you're doing is you're not kind of wasting time. You're just re-energizing yourself. You're recharging yourself. You're just going through that things. And it's all the chemical balances in your body that happens when you take a break, when you laugh, when you see your friends, when you hug them, when you create memories, sort of things. And that's what happens when you take a break. Clearly, I'm sure all the corporates and things have very similar structures where you have a definite breaks. But as I said, I don't think you should do what others do. If you can be a better version, you can, if you understand that you have had more breaks this year, you have been a there are situations where you cannot take a break, and that's understood. But then at the same time, you're just overheating your body, overcharging your sort of things. And that's the whole concept of having a break.
Awesome. I saw two things which came up very clearly here from this interaction. I mean, in the last couple of minutes. One is that I think you are one of those people who are in very small number, early to bed and early to rise, which is the core and essence of living a healthy and successful life. So 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock is something which some of the most successful people in India also follow. And unfortunately, the time between 9 to 12 o'clock is the same time which people enjoy while being in that posture which we spoke about. Let's not repeat it. And while scrolling, and then Facebook and Instagram knew that, okay, these guys are looking for this break, this unholy break, unhealthy break. So they created 60-second videos, 50-second, 15-second videos. So guys, please try to understand how the world is running around you. People are watching you very closely, and they are creating systems so that you can become more unhealthy, more unhappy. And when things become bad, you of course rush to Dr. Rupesh Jha. And that's what he has been saying, that he would love to see more people who come to him in a proactive manner rather than a reactive manner. Dr. Jha, would you like to share something about 2-3 benefits of sleep? Is something which we all know. And as you absolutely rightly pointed out, sleep is important. 8 hours sleep is important. And one of the motivational speakers in India, who is the number one in terms of following, Sandeep Maheshwari, he said it that he sleeps for 8 hours. And in a world when there are people who are saying that get up at 3:30 and 4 o'clock, of course, I never mean when I say that people. Actually, when I started this program in the morning, because morning is important, I didn't keep it at 4:30 or 3:30 or 4 o'clock. I kept it at 5:30, so that people can still sleep by 9:30 kind of. They can still get up, they can complete their sleep, and then they can have some magical morning experiences. Now, so would you like to share something about 2-3 direct benefits? Because coming from you is something which will certainly have the due weightage here.
Yeah, so I think I'm sure people understand that there is if somebody can work. So what happens? I'll tell you. Give you a very different example to understand this.
Yeah.
So in UK, when you go, so at the moment the time is 6:47. The time in UK is 6:47. In India, it will be 5.5 hours.
12:17 p.m.
Yeah. So that's 5.5 hours. Come first 30th of April. So in April and October, we have a spring time and autumn time. The clock moves forward and a clock moves backward. That's how the clock. So in May, it will be 4.5 hours difference. From 30th of April till October, it will be 4.5 hours difference. The clock moves backwards. Now, there is enough evidence now to see that just after that change in clock, so when people have 1 hour less sleep and 1 hour more sleep, the increase in heart attack, there's increase in road accidents, the increase in stroke increases almost 16% the very next day or the very next week. So that's what the importance of sleep, just an extra 1 hour of sleep. Now, you could argue the fact that, oh, but what are there lots of things to do? It's all comes down to time management. How do we manage our time, sort of things, how we look at it, sort of things. So things you should not, there are certain non-negotiable. When you make a deal, you say, these are non-negotiable. You can't negotiate on this. This is something you can't negotiate on. You can't say, let me cut 2 hours of sleep and do 2 hours of work. All that you have done is you have taken 2 hours, which you could have finished better if you had managed your time well, sort of things. So there's very interesting YouTube video. If somebody wants to, if you just type the word, sleep is superpower. If you just open YouTube and type sleep is superpower.
I'll certainly put the link there. Yeah, I'll put the link. Yeah.
And then there is there's a professor of book. It's called he's written a book on sleep as well. And he's mentioned about that there is evidence now that people who sleep less than 8 hours, they have low testosterone. So if you're having problems with, as a man, if you have problems with erectile dysfunction and those things, one of the key things which I ask in my clinic is how much you sleep.
Yeah.
So if people have issues with all these things, the key message is obviously how much time you sleep, including your cardiovascular health, including your general health sort of things. So there is no, you can't compromise on sleep. You can't trade off sleep. And the best thing about sleep is you have to sleep at the same time every day, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, or things. You can't, it's not like a bank where you can draw more today and deposit later on. It does not work. Sleep does not work on that concept. Sleep works on very simple thing. You have to sleep because your clock, your circadian rhythm is set. You can't change that. Okay, let me work 6 hours more and have an extra lie down on weekend. We all tend to do that at times, but sadly that does not work.
Amazing, Dr. Jha, what you have said in last few minutes is life-changing, should be life-changing for many people, because I know many people in corporates are under the notion that they can get away with less sleep between Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday, Sunday, they keep on sleeping. So that there is something called sleep bank, which people have created. There is a connotation, there is a word which has been coined, phrase, sleep bank, which is absolutely a misnomer. Just like some of these things which you spoke about, how the world is working. People are working overnight, day and night, they're keeping a watch, and then they're creating some kind of products or gadgets, or they're coining some words to give a kind of temporary comfort to people. But actually, these are the reasons why people are collapsing in washrooms. And I'm talking about some of the CEOs. It has actually happened about some people that I knew personally. Never to get up again. I'm talking about very serious consequences at the age of 40, which is not the age. And there are a lot of things happening, I know. So now we see the serious implications of not following a standard ritual. Because if I just talk about the morning habit, waking up early in the morning. So I have always told people that I do it whether it's Monday ho ya Sunday. रोज खाएं अंडे, पता नहीं अंडे खाना नहीं, वो अलग बात है. But Monday हो या Sunday, मैं हमेशा अपना I maintain the same sequence, same time of waking up in the morning. And what Dr. Jha said, that everybody has to maintain the same time of going to sleep and same time of waking up early in the morning. It's nothing like, from Monday to Friday, wake up at whatever 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and then on Saturday, Sunday, wake up at 10 o'clock, and then you get into your tea and coffee and all. No, it's not going to work out. It is the same habit. Habits are all about, because if nature does not know the difference between Monday and Sunday, right? Weekends or weekdays, something which we have created. And habits are the requirements of nature. Just like a tree is the same tree. And yes, thank you so much. I've just seen the message of you have shared the link, so I'll certainly put the link. Thank you so much. So nature always teaches us that habits are very powerful. I think there are books which are written. People say that you first build habits and then habits build you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jha. It's a very, very insightful interaction. I'm going to, while editing, I'm going to put these messages very clearly for people. I'll also write it down so that people, those who are not able to hear for whatever reason, there are people who are in the offices and they're listening to some of these videos. So I'll put those things. And the messages are absolutely very powerful and life transforming. Thank you so much. It's 1 hour. We didn't even know how, and still I've got half a dozen pictures. So would you mind giving me another time, another date? We'll have some more fun while getting some messages.
Definitely, yeah. We have obviously, I'm sure we can catch up some time and have an interesting conversation. That was really nice to. Yeah, I think
Thank you
that,
so much.
as I said, I could go on and on and on when it comes to all these sort of topics. And I think the key message I would probably just say that just compete with yourself. Don't compete with others. Just make a better version of yourself. And in that process, if you have to learn from someone, borrow from someone, ask someone, go ahead and do that.
No, this is very powerful sentence which you just said, because I recall that in last few interactions, heart-to-heart conversations with people, there are people from different fields. So in the last session, we had interaction with a musician, a person from the field of music. Before that, we had somebody from the field of corporate. They all said the same thing, and this is what on which I have made a couple of videos also, that one has to compete with oneself. We actually can't compare ourselves with other people. I mean, yesterday there was a video which I have recalled, created on the same subject, because I think we'll talk about it in the next interaction. There is something called wheel of life, which I talk about while coaching people. And I say that money is just one of the aspects. Health is there, passion is there. Some of these bricks are important, the bricks which you see in the background picture. Some of these memories are important, our contribution to the society, doing something which we love doing. And of course, some work which gives you the flexibility to sleep to on time and to follow some of these rituals which are going to be very important. And if you look at wheel of life, normally what people do is to compare others with themselves on one aspect, that is money, and that's not a fair comparison. There are other things which are equally important. That's just one reason why people should not compare. We'll listen to Dr. Jha in the next interaction, and then we'll listen some more, get some more ideas as why comparison is not at all something which we should even think of. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And audience, please watch it once again if you feel like, while driving. For example, in case you are in Bangalore, you should measure the distance in the number of times, in terms of number of times you have seen this video, or just drive and listen to the audio at least and make some notes, and we'll come back again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. God bless you. Bye. Bye.